Hello, and we are back from hiatus. This is Film Bouillabaisse. I'm Alison Parker, here with my trusty co-host, Logan Albright.
Hello.
Today we are going to talk about the film Us. Now, we both saw this opening weekend, but we've both been kind of busy, so this is the first chance that we've gotten to just sit down with each other and really talk about it. Although we have actually talked about this film before today. I think we called each other like immediately after the second person had seen it.
We did do that because we wanted to know what the other person thought of it, because we can't form independent movie opinions. We have to confer and make a hybrid opinion.
So, in terms of scariness of this film, how would you rank it?
I thought it was pretty scary. It's not the scariest film I've ever seen, but, it was above average, I'd say. Maybe like a 7.5, something like that.
Sure. I think that the beginning, when the others are starting to try to invade the house, that was very scary for me because I just find home invasion so latently terrifying. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's hard to objectively quantify something like this because it depends on the kind of mood you're in. It depends on your particular triggers for what scares you. I know like some of the movies I've found the most scariest of all time, I can't talk tonight. Some of the movies I've found the scariest of all time, other people don't find very scary and vice versa. So I think it really depends on your own psychology and what gets to you. But I thought this was pretty scary.
So, thinking about the film and how it's laid out, these doppelgangers arrive and try to attack the original people that are living above ground. Did it harken back to you any classic cinema, like maybe Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of zombie movie in it, for sure. I think the best thing about the movie and the thing that makes it really work is the uncanny valley trope, which, if you're not familiar with the uncanny valley, it's this idea that as things become more and more human-like, they become sort of creepy. And there's a nadir, there's a low point where things become really creepy when they're almost human but not quite human. And then when they become super realistic humans, then they're not scary anymore. It's this idea that people who don't quite look right, there's something just a little bit off about them, makes them really terrifying. And I think that's something you see in zombies. It's something you see in kind of like alien pod people replacement movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I think that's what makes this movie really work. Because you have people who are like us. It's the whole conceit of the movie. It's people who are like us. They look like us, but there's something wrong. I just saw Pet Sematary as well, and that also plays on the same trope, which, something comes back not quite the same as it was before. It's a little bit different.
And the others is what I'm calling them, but I think they're called the Untethered in the film. Or the Tethered.
The Tethered, yeah.
They're called the Tethered in the film, and they don't speak other than Red, the one that looks like Lupita Nyong'o. She speaks, but she has a very gravelly voice from lack of use or maybe another reason. And when she first starts speaking, it's abjectly terrifying. Did you think so?
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that it worked as well as it did, because usually in these sort of movies, you're better off showing less of the monsters. You want to keep them in the shadows. You don't want them to really be out in the open where you can see them or get a good look at them, because it's usually your imagination is scarier than what they actually are. So the fact that she came out in the open and had a conversation with the protagonist, you would think would kind of ruin some of the mystery or the illusion of it, but it didn't. It made it really scary, and I think it worked well.
Okay, so in terms of characters that we like, did you love the dad character?
Yeah, I thought the dad character was great. He was sort of this goofy, cuddly teddy bear of a dad, and I thought he was really likable, and I enjoyed him as character a lot. Well written, well characterized.
What I love about this guy is that he played this teddy bear dad that was so warm, and he was goofy, he had dad jokes, but then the second he has to brawl his doppelganger, he is throwing down.
Yeah, he's got the ability to bring it when you need him to.
Characters made some questionable decisions in the film. The teenage girl is running from her doppelganger, and she comes to a parked car, and instead of just using her latent sprinting abilities, because she's a runner in the film, she just stands on the other side of the car and looks under it, and it built a lot of tension, but I was just like, keep running.
I like the way that the little boy character, I forget his name now, would mimic everything that his doppelganger did. He could get his doppelganger to do whatever he wanted by acting it out, and the doppelganger would mimic it, from lifting up the mask and things like that. I thought that was a creepy and nice touch, and it also had a nice plot significance, which I won't ruin for you, but I like that part of it.
So essentially we have a nuclear family that's vacationing at a beautiful house kind of near the beach, and they are friends with this other family that there's also 4 of them. It's a wife, husband, and 2 twin girls. And when our original family goes over to this friend's family's house, things get really real.
Yeah, I like that part a lot. The one thing I wanted to say about the movie that it reminded me of by talking about that segment is the comedy in it.
Yeah.
There's always been a close relationship between horror and comedy, and I think this is a great marriage of both of those. It's really funny, you guys. It's a really funny movie, but it's also a really scary movie, and they do a good job of cutting the tension with jokes in a way that doesn't like make it feel less serious. But it's still a scary horror movie, but there's a lot of really good jokes in it.
Well, I slightly disagree because I don't think that the jokes are used to cut tension. I feel like they're used as interstitials between the action. So I don't think it's going to feel like it's undercutting the tension. It's going to detract from the tension. It starts out and it builds.
I don't mean that it undercuts the tension. I mean that it breaks up the tension.
Okay, back to the twin girls. Did you think you could ever find cartwheels so terrifying?
That's a good question. Yeah, I like the way that they kind of used the already established traits of the characters in a mirror image for the doppelgangers or the tethered to make them take on a new connotation of something scary. That was cool.
So this is Jordan Peele's second outing, and I wouldn't call it a sophomore slump. Will you be on board to watch the third?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely want to see where he's going with this. I think he's a good filmmaker. We'll see what happens. What did you think of the use of music in the film?
I loved it. So there's this music that's original music used in the trailer, and the second I heard it, I was in love with it. And it's used kind of toward the end of the film, although it might be a leitmotif. But it's definitely used during the end of the film, and I just was bonkers about it. It was completely banana pants.
I thought the use of songs in the film was really well chosen. The music supervisor did a great job. There were certain parts of the score that bothered me. I thought they were a little too active. Took me out of the suspense a little bit. I studied film scoring, for those who don't know, so I kind of have a more sensitive ear for that than a lot of people. So probably people didn't notice it very much, but I noticed there were parts of it where I was paying more attention to the music than I would have to the action, which is not a great thing in a horror movie. But otherwise, I thought the music was great.
Okay, so overall, would you recommend this film?
Absolutely. Go see it. It's great.
Would you recommend this film to people that don't typically watch horror?
It depends. I mean, there's some people who can't watch horror. They're so afraid of it. They really are bothered by it. They don't like violence. There is a good deal of violence in this. I wouldn't recommend it to someone like that, but someone who just watches an occasional horror movie and isn't a huge fan of the genre, I'd say, yeah, this is one that's worth going out for. There's a lot that recommends it. Okay,
so we're the same age, and I wondered if you remembered the Hands Across America campaign.
I do have a vague memory of it. Yeah, at the beginning, the opening segment takes place in the early 80s, mid 80s, I think mid 80s. And yeah, that was a nice little nostalgic treat for us 80s kids. And I do remember hearing about the Hands Across America anyway.
Yeah, I think we were 4 years old. I found that use of that just random event from the mid 80s just super humorous.
It had a nice callback at the end. You were sort of disappointed by the ending, as I recall.
So there is a twist that you've probably heard in the film. We are not going to tell you what it is, but a lot of people were blown out of the park by it. They didn't see it coming. I did immediately, and that did degrade the quality of my film going experience a little bit. And I can't remember if you caught it or not at first.
I wasn't 100% sure what was going to happen, but I had a strong suspicion.
Okay. Yeah, within minutes of the movie starting, I knew where it was going. It took me out of it a little bit, but I was fine.
I thought the acting was good, though.
It was so good across the board. Okay, well, come back to our next episode where we will be talking about...
Ma. This is the summer of one-syllable, two-letter horror movies. So we'll be talking about Ma next time. Us, then Ma.
We're going to quickly run out of material. What else are you excited about watching, Logan?
I saw a trailer today for, what is it, Scary Stories We Tell in the Dark, that by Guillermo del Toro.
I would watch that.
That looks good. I want to see that. I want to see Ma. We talked about that. I realized that I missed Greta. I wanted to see Greta, but I didn't actually catch it when it was in theaters, so I'm going to try to track that down and see it. These are all horror movies. I like horror movies. Apart from that, the new Tarantino film this summer, I'll be excited to watch. And the trailer for episode 9 is out. Disney has done the impossible. They've made me apathetic to Star Wars, but I'm going to see episode 9.
I am so excited about the newest Tarantino.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Well, thanks for being on the show today, Logan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks for keeping it real, everybody.